Welcome to this video, round 2 for the candidates in London, and we had a very boring first round. I mean, you need to be honest, it was boring, nothing much happened. Today the second round was much more interesting. Let's start with Carlsen Kramnik. On paper the game of the day, but yeah, sometimes it's a little bit like if you watch some sports, yeah, where two top teams play each other and they have a very good defense. It's not so exciting, and somehow this happened today in this game. We got an English opening here on very standard position, where White's usual way to try something is the move a3. It doesn't look very exciting, I admit, but this is the way Carlsen normally plays this. He got this position, for example, against Judith Polgar in London last year, and this very often leads to kind of hedgehog formation with d6, b6 and so on. But here he played bishop f4, so this must be a preparation. But d5, e3, it doesn't look very scary for black. And have a look, bishop b4, all normal developing moves. Bishop e2, yeah, and now Kramnik simply plays the no-nonsense, I just want to equalize move. He took on c4, and here what is White supposed to do? He took on c6, which is the relatively best move. If you play something like this here, you actually get a position where White has got the isolated pawn and doesn't have anything special for it to show. I mean, there's already one pair of pieces traded, and yeah, it's not great. Black is going to control d5. It's very drawish also in this position. Carlsen took on c6, which is really normal here. I mean, not normal in the sense of that this is a theoretical position, but it's the normal looking move, and everything's fine and easily to predict. Knight d5, attacking c3, attacking f4, and White just castled. Yeah, and now of course Kramnik is not interested in exploring possibilities like taking here. For example, just have a look at this, something like this, where White maybe has something. Bishop to d6, e4, e5. It's a compensation for the pawn. Kramnik just keeps it simple. He took on f4, took on c3, king to e7, and well, I mean, I think every player that has at least some basic endgame skills is able to hold this, even against Carlsen. It's simply nothing, this position. Let's have a look. Rook b1, bishop to d7, rook b7, rook b8. So we've got one pair of rooks off, but the problem is that the white rook is going to get kicked out by black's king. See, the king is just approaching the rook, and now it needs to retreat. Rook b8, and yeah, well, White cannot surrender the b file, so the rooks are off also. And now the only thing preventing this game to be a draw is the 30 move rule. They need to play 30 moves before they agree to a draw, and now it's 30 moves and the game is over. So a very disappointing game, but it's sometimes it happens if the opening preparation somehow completely fails. It's somewhat comparable to Aronian's game yesterday. I don't know what Carlsen's idea was, really. Bishop f4, of course it's not so easy to predict a certain line, but this is a very common line in the English. And after d5, there are ideas that are more ambitious, like this. Okay, I need to go back here to actually alter the moves in the software. You can play something like this, for example, intending knight c7, then e5, and this is a long, complicated line, usually not leading too much, but okay, this is somewhat, yeah, maybe if you have something prepared there, but he played e3, and you can anticipate that, oh, this is very easy, bishop b4, and now takes. So what's the big thing that they missed here in the preparation? It's just nothing. Don't know. It's just a nothing draw. Well, Kramnik with 2 draws with black in the first round certainly is okay with this result. And Carlsen 2 draws against Aronian and Kramnik is also not too bad. But he certainly, I think, would have hoped for some pressure in this game, and there was nothing. Okay, next game, let's do this quickly. Ivanchuk, Svidler. We had first 1e4 of the tournament. Svidler playing e5, and here with the short castle we have the introduction to the marshal with c3 and d5, which is not played. It's very difficult to get something against the marshal, so white players quite often go for a4 or h3. a4 here is the move that Kasparov, for example, played against Nigel Short in the 1993 match. Back then, Short, he played more than one line. He played also knight bishop to b7 in this match. Nowadays, b4 is considered to be the best move, and it gives black very decent equalizing chances. d4, d6, and takes. This is one line that white has tried recently. And okay, we have a pawn structure here, e4 against e5 with the open d-file. This is very common. The difference here is the queen side. This operation here has given white the c4 square for knight or bishop, so it always tends to be slightly better for white, but it's very slight. Black also has got a good square on c5, and he's got some space on the queen side. In fact, in this game, after a couple of very logical looking moves, yeah, look, yeah, very simple, just take on e3 before the knight can be a pest, and now black plays on those weaknesses, also supported here with this bishop. I think black has a pretty comfortable position. It's around equal, and they continued a bit, but it's always difficult to get some life into a position where there are no pawn breaks really available. It's pretty much symmetrical here. White can only play for f4 at some point and play with pieces, and black's got enough counterplay on those weak pawns on the queen side. So they continued for a bit, but the drawing margin is pretty high here. The slight tactical sequence here, but there's really not much going on, and the end was very drawish. So draw agreed here between those two very good friends. Also need to mention that. Yeah, it's difficult if you play 1e4 and you play the Rui. It's the marshal is a very tough nut to crack. They simply don't have anything. This is why those d3 lines, for example, on move 6 here, d3 is getting more and more popular. So this was the second draw of this round, not too exciting. So now for the more interesting stuff. Let's turn to Aronian against Gelfand. This is actually my game of the day if you need to choose one. Let's go ahead. Gelfand playing 1c5, and we've got an English opening with g6. A really popular line recently, this g6 line. I think I played it also on video here on this channel, and it's also a line I can recommend to black players. It's quite interesting to play. There's also a video that I posted about 1 year ago, where I played This is Black against Grandmaster Hoffman here in the German Cup, and we had a very similar line. We have this now transposed into Carlsen Panov, takes, and queen b3. So an isolated pawn position where this knight is attacked, and black takes on c3. In the game against Hoffman I played e6, which is also a good move that you can go for. Knight c3 is the move that leads to more unbalanced play maybe. The fun move here is bishop c4. This is what white played. He simply delays the capture for one move and attacks this pawn on f7. Black cannot save the knight. If he tries to save it, there's this simple continuation, getting the piece back and giving white a simple win on the board. So what is black supposed to do? e6 is not good as well. After that, takes. The problem is if you go bishop g7, there's bishop a3 and you cannot castle. So not too great. But black has a good way to play, simply retreating the piece to continue in this fashion with e6. Now the bishop is attacked and white unfortunately must take. There is simply no way to retreat the bishop. If you retreat it, there's more than one good way to play. Now bishop b4 is good, but also bishop g7 is a good move, attacking this and intending knight a5 later. Black has a very good position, so white must take. Retakes, castles, and now Gelfand plays bishop e7. It is I recommend to play queen d5 here. In fact, I did a video on ICC in German language for an opening repertoire series where I recommended exactly this move. I recommended the whole line and got to this point where queen d5 is the most popular move. White normally goes queen c3 here, and then it continues. Black can even play the funny looking move f6 here, controlling the e5 pawn. And he's got a very strong queen on d5. This is the justification. Black's got two bishops and a very good queen on d5. In the game, Gelfand played bishop e7 first. It's not a big difference probably. Bishop e3 and queen d5. The interesting fact is this bishop e7 Gelfand had played before in 2012, just last year, against Yakovenko, another top GM from Russia. And this means that Aronian certainly had it in his preparation. I mean, it's clear that he must have looked at this line, especially when he decided that he went for knight f3 in this game. So the preparation obviously was bishop e3, queen d5, and now rook c1. So rather quiet continuation. Here black has got alternatives to what Gelfand played. What Gelfand played is a little bit of the, let's call it the grovel move. he took on b3, which is not bad really, but if you ask me what would you play in this position, I probably wouldn't take. I'm not saying that it is better what I'm suggesting, but it's just a bit more interesting maybe. I would prefer f6 here, king f7, covering the squares, e5, oops, not this one, it's also covered, but I mean g5, e5, and then probably bishop here, rook to b8. This would be my plan, and not exchange so quickly on b3. I don't know, it's probably somewhat between slightly better for white and equal, but in the game he took on b3, and white takes on b3 of course also. So why is this a grovel? The problem is here black yeah, basically sacrifices a pawn. It's clear that the c6 pawn is very weak and will get lost at some point, and you can only navigate around various endgames where you are pawn down, and where the only question is, yeah, well, do you draw or do you lose? And while you will draw most of those endgames, it's simply a bit of a thankless task. You can absolutely never win unless your opponent drops dead, or I don't know, something extraordinary happens. So it's a bit of yeah, a bit of a torture to play this. Okay, he played bishop b7, knight e5, and castles. And here's the first point where white could grab on c6. It doesn't lead to much. If white takes now, there's rook b8 and big counterplay. Black has got just enough play to get the pawn back. I mean, think of it, it's just the b2 pawn. It's not like a big extra central pawn or pass pawn or whatever. And black has got lots of play. Let's say rook here, bishop here, and now let's say this kind of line. And now the counterplay against the two pawns secures the draw. This is why Aronian didn't take on c6. He wants to increase the pressure. And rook a4 is a good move. It intends various switches of the rook, doubling against the a pawn, doubling against the c pawn. And this is the real problem for black. He just needs to, needs to is the wrong word. He needs to, but the only thing he can do is just make sure to defend the weaknesses and try to draw, and it's not easy at all to accomplish. Let's continue a couple of moves. Yeah, white switched over to a5, rook d7. Here again there's the possibility to take pawns. Knight c6 is even bad for white. This is a really bad pin leading to trouble. And knight b7, rook b7 is also not much. Let's say here, and it's questionable if yeah, okay, it's a draw. I was about to say if this is even equal for white, but it is equal, very equal even. Yeah, white cannot grab her, but he played rook b4. This is better, attacking the bishop, and it has to move. And now knight c6, and white finally won this pawn without any big concessions that he needed to make. But it's still not easy for white to convert. Rook b7. He activated this piece, and now Aronian played h3. A bit of a mysterious move. It's certainly useful, but you would have expected that he would take on b7. But okay, h3 is not bad. King g7 is mostly a waiting move, and now he didn't find anything else than to exchange and drop back. Yeah, Gelfand played bishop d8 now. In this position he also had the possibility to play bishop to d5, which at first I thought would be quite good, attacking the pawn, but rook c7 is a bit annoying. You can actually do this and play for this endgame, but have a look at this. b4 takes bishop g5, and this is really not much fun. Look at this. And there are ideas for white. You can try to invade with the king like this, or maybe here, I don't know. What's clear is black can absolutely do nothing. You just need to stay put and will never ever do anything. Just a very ugly position. This is why not bishop d5. Bishop d5 is maybe playable, but it's not nice. He played bishop d8, just preventing rook c7, and this is probably better. b4, and now this is a critical moment here. Here black probably must play bishop d5, or let's say any other move than what he did. he played now rook c8, and you can treat this as an exercise, as a puzzle. I'll be quiet for a couple of seconds now so that you have the chance to pause the video and try to find a good move for white. Okay, the good move is, and played by Aronian, bishop h6 check. Very, very embarrassing move to face. Gelfand just blundered into this. Not a good sign for the rest of the tournament. Yeah, the problem is if black takes this, then there's simply rook c8. Bishop takes here, here, and this is 2 pawns. Not just one, 2 pawns, and these are also not exactly strong. Totally winning for white. It's not even difficult technically. The knight looks a bit stranded, but it comes back into play quickly. So taking on h6 is not on. What else? We go here. This is actually quite similar. Takes. And again, this is a winning endgame for white. 2 pawns is too much. This is somewhat better compared to the other line, but still hopeless. Yeah, so what to do after bishop h6? Yeah, Gelfand needs to retreat, but this leads to a very bleak endgame. Have a look. Exchanges and knight to c6. And now, if, well, theoretically, bishop b6 would be possible, then it wouldn't be so bad, but this just picks up the bishop on c8. Cannot go bishop b6, and well, this thing is hanging. Where do you go? And you need to cover e7 also, so there's only one move, bishop f6. Okay, so what have we seen in this game so far? Gelfand chose a slightly passive continuation with taking on b3, and he defended and then he blundered. Now we're in this position. White is a pawn up. He's got an active position, the knight on c6, and now what white needs to do is to display good technical play. And this is why I like this game really, because it's very easy in this position to make some careless moves, and then you're in there and need to really grind out a win, and it's not sure if you manage. For instance, in this position, white could go knight takes a7, the most normal looking move. But look at this, bishop b7. Now this is hanging this pawn. How do you continue? Probably you just cover it. You don't want to give it back. And then king f8, and the king will approach while white takes a while. Look at this. If you go here, then this pawn would hang, and it's not like white is promoting this b pawn instantly or winning a piece or something. It isn't an immediate win. It is probably winning in the long run, but it might take you 50 moves to actually convert it. Have a look again at this position. White has a much stronger move. Aronian plays now b5, and this is very strong. The idea is to delay the capture for one move and actually give give black the chance to make a move. What is black supposed to move here? It's close to a Zugzwang. You really have problems to move. He moved the bishop, which is basically the only thing he can do, and now a very strong continuation. Note that Aronian doesn't take on a7, for example. It is much worse compared to what he played. He played the move g4. This is very, very strong. He simply intends to play g5 and completely dominate this bishop. And black doesn't have a move. Let's say he plays a6, for instance. I play g5. Where do you go? This is funny. Checkmate. Very nice. Oh, I have the sound turned off. I just recognized I don't have this check sounds and checkmates. Okay, bishop h8 would be checkmate, and where else? You can go here, but this promotes the pawn. No way to stop it. Yeah, after g4, Gelfand played g5, and now again very, very strong, powerful play, h4. He just forces through this this idea, takes g5, and this is just a sequence of moves that completely kills black. Just go back 4 moves. Here, white could easily make himself, make life miserable for himself, making it a long day at the office with taking on a7. And instead, he found this very powerful sequence of moves. h4 took g5, and it's quite similar to the line that we looked before. This bishop has no square. Where should it go? If you go here, then you just take and take on a7, and again this promotes. Without the bishops, there's no bishop on d4 or anywhere to stop the pawn. This is simply an extra piece after taking on b5 with an easy win. So Gelfand took here, recaptured. Now only move bishop to d8. He must stop this pawn. And now king g2, bishop c7, king h3. And here Gelfand resigned. Simply because white will take on h4 and then go all the way. Yeah, like to draw those arrows to promote the c-pawn. Black is in a box here, like a coffin. This king cannot move. It's simply dominated by this bishop, and it's simply over. You can play a desperate f6 at some point, but this is just another pawn, which doesn't help you. So I really liked this game. Aronian did a very efficient job of putting him away here. You can easily make a long endgame out of this, which you maybe in some cases are not even winning. But this b5 and g4 idea was just very strong. b4, g4, h4, g5, very strong. So good performance here by Aronian, and a very bad blunder by Gelfand. It's a very unusual for him. He's one of his main strengths is actually that he rarely blunders, and this has happened today. He even had enough time on the clock, so hard to explain. Okay, so now take a look at the last game. Here, Rajabov against Ivanchuk. I want to concentrate on the later stages of the game. Surprisingly, Ivanchuk, with some some move order twist, went into the Leningrad Dutch. Very sharp opening that you wouldn't expect on a candidate tournament for a world championship, but okay, he went for it. Ivanchuk is a very enterprising player, and he managed to surprise Rajabov. You see, he spent 20 minutes for this very common theoretical position. Rook b1 is an interesting way to play. Kramnik played this against Nakamura a couple of years ago. The idea is a quick b4, b5. Ivanchuk played knight e4, queen c2, and takes on c3. Yeah, this actually is what happened in this Kramnik game against Nakamura as well. It is interesting. e4 is one idea, and here Ivanchuk played in a very straightforward manner. He played e5, and I'm not sure if this was really a good idea. The problem is that white is very quick now with his pieces. I mean, black is pretty much undeveloped, and white now very quickly gets his forces into play. Basically, all pieces play now. The rook, yeah, the rooks on both files, and the bishop is strong. So it doesn't look like a good position for black. Queen e8 and e4. Yeah, white tries to open up. maybe around here you need to look for improvements. Ivanchuk played f4, and this could have led to big trouble already now if Rajabov would have played knight g5 here, which he didn't for some reason. Knight g5 is, however, quite strong, just attacking the rook, and maybe after rook f6 he didn't appreciate queen d3, directly threatening queen d8, and this is really a rather annoying position for black. What do you do now? He's very much on the defensive. What Rajabov played was also good, but it wasn't so as forceful as knight g5. He played rook d3, took on g3, and knight a6. Yeah, this knight isn't doing so much really, but what was black supposed to do? It really looks like a bad position. Knight g5, rook to c7, where to go? Bishop d6. Yeah, it's not much fun. Where do you go with this rook? You go here. There's this possibility. Black is in big trouble. Ivanchuk actually decided to go for a sacrifice. In this position he played for a queen sac. He didn't overlook this move here. Bishop takes e5. He sacrificed the queen with this maneuver, hoping for some miracle. Let's put some more moves on the board. White just consolidated and did a good job of controlling the position. I'm not sure that queen takes was so great, but it is enough. Okay, rook f8. So we are on move 30. Yeah, Ivanchuk was down to seconds. The clock times are not 100% exact here, but he was down on seconds, maybe 20, maybe 30. It gives 23 here on ICC, but something around that. And Rajabov down to 4 minutes. He played queen, no, bishop. This move needs to be inserted. Knight d3, h4, and now he played queen to a5, b6. And here white probably just needs to go queen a4 and will win the game. He's got 2 pawns extra and queen against rook and bishop. And black only has got some slight counterplay. It's really not enough. There's this hanging, and sometimes you just can take it here. What Rajabov did is also a very natural move. I mean, probably I would have played this as well. It's not like I'm saying he's a complete moron for doing this. It's just he took on b6, yeah, just returning the exchange. And the thing is, sort of like a miracle, black can draw in this position by force, which is at first hard to believe, but he can. And this is by means of the move g4. It's not apparent immediately why, but I can give you a couple of lines. f4 is probably the most testing, but let's start with knight takes c5. This even loses, takes on f3, king f1, takes on g3, and those 2 pawns are deadly. White cannot save himself. Let's say rook b1, f2, and it's over. This is just deadly, the g-pawn, also in connection with knight f4 sometimes. This even loses the game. So what is white supposed to do? This is threatened. f4 really looks like the way to go. And then black has h3 check, king h2, and now rook d8. This is the big point. If white takes now, and the thing is, he doesn't have a move. What should he do? This thing is hanging, and you cannot move it. Well, it doesn't make any sense to go to e1, for example. So let's take here, and this is, oops, this is a check. And in fact, we have a perpetual. No way for white to get out of this. If you go here, then, oops, sorry, in this position. Of course, this move I forgot here. And this is indeed a perpetual. White cannot go here because of this mate now. So let's return all the way back. So what else? Can you go somewhere else? Let's say he goes to h1. It's just the same thing. Or to f1. Then black has the great move rook h7, supporting the h-pawn. He can really afford to do that. It's quite amazing. What is white supposed to do? Probably he needs to even return here. And h2 might even lead to trouble for white. If you now try to stop this mechanically, there's rook d8 and an attack. So it's quite amazing. White must force the draw, this perpetual that I showed earlier. g4 out of nothing is a miracle save. It's really a dead draw. Funny enough, I checked it with the computer, of course. It gives 0-0-0. But Ivanchuk was down to seconds, according to ICC, to 9 seconds, and he didn't manage to do that. He just took on b6, queen b6, took on g3, and now it is over because Ivanchuk overstepped the time limit while he took on g3, so he lost on time. But the position now is also hopeless. White can take this here and win, because also this, you need to note that white can take, getting the knight at the end. He's got 4 extra pawns and will promote at least one of them. So this game was mostly interesting for this miracle save here, g4. Amazing. There are tons of ways to even lose. Yeah? Have a look at this. Takes here. Takes here. What is white supposed to do? King here. Check. f2, and black is winning. It's really funny, because those pieces are not playing. Yeah, very fun end of this game. It could have been with g4, but I think all in all a deserved victory for Rajabov, because Ivanchuk really got outplayed terribly in the opening. So after 2 rounds we have Aronian leading together with Rajabov, and I'm glad to show two decisive games after the very timid first round. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks.